the people and same question that we want them to repeat. We're going to make it a little difficult for our, kind of esteemed speakers, because each of them come with a very deep expertise, right? Ramesh comes, from MCDEX, which is again a commodity exchange, kind of MCX, commodity exchange. I'm sure everybody would have heard about it, right? It's more about, volumes. It's about, how the trading happens, and every transaction is going to be so important. Similarly, Yash comes from MasterCard, right? Now, I used to feel it's a credit card company. He told me, no, we are not. It's a payments network, right? But all said and done, everybody in this room understands what is MasterCard. We use it, right? We don't use their services directly, but through our banks. So again, a lot of transactions really ride on them. They have a huge network of about 20 million merchants, right, that you manage. Exactly. So I was hearing, you see. Nasir again comes from Lloyd's. Lloyd's is one of the, the very large financial entities. He is part of the technology arm, managing the tech infra, right, and managing the cyber again for them. So a very good mix of speakers, and that makes my life easy because I just have to hand it over to them and they take it from there, right? But the idea is we'll keep it interactive. There is a set of questions, which we'll ask them, which is very pertinent, very relevant for their industry. But I just believe any communication has to be two-way dialogue. And end of it, right? If you have to gain something out of it, the next 30 minutes, it's also your owners, it's your responsibility to ask the question, make it more interactive. It's not one-sided, right? And that's really the reason we have all moved to the side. The entire stage is yours. It's more for the speakers to interact with you and not with us, right? So I just hope, that we have this interaction, keep the questions coming. We'll try and take as many as we can, right? The best thing is I don't have to answer, so keep on, ask all difficult questions, they'll take care of it. But with this, we could probably, we could just be seated and we get started from there. Wherever we're comfortable. Sure. Oh.
Next to you, Kalpesh is always a tough spot.
Oh God. So we'll go with you first. So maybe Ramesh, we'll start with you, right? Now, as I said, you have the background of, basically, when you call it a market, right? A trading market where a lot of valuable transactions happen and every transaction has a value, right? Resilience is going to be very important. So maybe what would be important for us to learn would be the current landscape, right? The way you see it, in terms of the transactions, the security. I'm sure when you talk about stock market, the first thing that comes is resilience, right? High availability, because every transaction can be worth so many millions of rupees, dollars, whatever it is. So how do you take care of that? About emerging technologies, right? What do you feel is really changing, right? What is it that you think is going to be something that you will have to invest, or you are very excited about investing? I think that will give some more insights to everybody in the room on the way, let's say, a player like you, right, is thinking in the way you're planning to invest and the direction that you are picking up, right? It's also about the AI and, the buzzwords, right? Everybody talks about AI, everybody talks about ML, hardly anybody understands, right? It's like the required parameter, nobody really understands, this is an ideal partner parameter. Everybody wants it, but nobody gets it, right? But maybe you can demystify, right? If there is an element of AI, there is an element of ML, and not only for the current products, right? Wherever you feel with your experience, where, it can really make an impact in the industry. Because we have practitioners, we have people who are also on the other side developing products. Maybe something for them, hearing it from, one of the prominent CISOs. Regulatory challenges, I know. BFSI as a sector is highly regulated, right? And everybody will agree that if not for a regulator, we would not do 80% of the things we do today. Anybody disagrees on that? Anybody would agree that, even if there was no regulator, nobody watching me. We call it moral compass, right? What is the role of a CISO? What is an ideal CISO? An ideal CISO is nobody, it's somebody, right, which doesn't exist in the real world, but assume if it had to exist, right, would be the moral compass for the organization. When I say moral compass, means they would enable the CISO to do the right things when nobody is watching them, all right? And if that happens, that's the ideal world. Again, two worlds we live, ideal world and the real world. Ideal world has nothing to do with the real world, right? So, but that's what it is. And the last thing is, your guess on the two technologies, that you feel will really reshape, or is going to really change the way security is managed and where you see a lot of promises from a marketplace. So, Ramesh, over to you.
Thank you, Kalpesh. Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Small disclaimer, these are my personal views, nothing directly or indirectly related to my organization. So I'll break down this questionnaire put across to me by Mr. Kalpesh into two parts. One is the landscape and the emerging technologies, as he rightly mentioned a while ago, right? So I believe all of you are well aware that trading business is purely on two factors, that is availability and speed. So these are the two back-end factors which every trading platform or a company aims to achieve to ensure seamless what we call customer experience and business transactions to the trading members. And in this journey, if we see the latest trends in the stock market or trading market, so there is ubiquitous presence of mobile technology, right? So it has drastically changed the way people are looking for trading business and brokeraging and much more things which are coming up in the stock market domain. So number two is it's like trading has become a commodity itself by use of technology, because a lot of fintechs, a lot of broking companies are coming with cutting edge technologies to offer this service to the clients. Then the emerging technologies, if we have to talk, like the big beast, we talk a lot. Since morning we have been talking about something called AI/ML. So the AI/ML success factor is speed and accuracy, right? The speed, the visibility, the level of depth a human cannot go, AI can go. So with that understanding and confidence, there is a best use case in trading business for using AI/ML, because it will increase the speed, which is the foremost requirement. And then the second part is accuracy. And the second most impressive technology which is emerging in trading business is blockchain and something called metaverse. And you might have heard about something called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. These are the latest developments which are, and crypto trading. So these are 3-4 new emerging trading avenues using AI/ML and metaverse kind of a technologies, a kind of convergence technology using AI/ML, blockchain, and augmented and virtual reality. So that is going to change the way the trading and this transaction speed are happening now. So that is one of the factors we should consider as part of emerging technologies. And next comes to the area how trading resilience are the aspects, the challenges in doing so. Whatever we discussed, the landscape and the what we call the technological evolution and revolution happening, how organizations should handle it, what are the major challenges and how to handle it. So I would divide this challenges part in three areas. One is technology stack, technology front, and the second one is the client side, the user side challenges, and the third is regulatory regime, as Mr. Kalpesh has highlighted. So these are the three buckets we should take care and manage effectively to handle this transactional related security issues. So I'll start with technology right first. So we know technology is a driving force for many, I think almost more than 90% businesses depend upon technology. So as I said in the beginning, the most promising and important factors are availability and speed. So to achieve those two factors, we need resilience. Resilience of technology at each and every stage, right from the system level, application level, network level, and data level. Like network level, system level, we know. We do something called high availability systems. We know the latest technologies like containerization, okay, micro segmentation, micro services. All these technologies help us in making the system scalable as well as highly speed oriented systems, and of course highly available. And then next comes data. Wherever data we are, the transactional data in the sense transactional as well as non-transactional data. Data also should be kept at a redundancy, ensuring security and availability. So that will be achieved through having a resilience setup of backup, starting with backup set primary, secondary location and tertiary location as well. And with security consideration in mind, like using air gap technologies, all that, to ensure that don't fall under cyber attacks like ransomware and all. That is one aspect we have to take care. Also considering encryption. Encryption is one of the prime factors. Even if we implement encryption in a true spirit in all possible ways, there are high chances of we getting saved from ransomware attacks. If the data is encrypted, if the ransomware is in place, then even then that data may not be useful for the attacker. So thereby we can have a kind of control in that sense. So those are the aspects. Resilience is most important aspect from technology standpoint, which is a challenge even from the regulatory expectations as well. Regulators say that you have to maintain RTO, RPO with the stringent timelines. And also recently they are expecting us to have near zero data loss. Means there should not be any single bit of data loss of transactions or any data pertaining to the clients or customers. So considering all these challenges, we need to have technology controls and mechanism in place to handle that. And the second part is the regulatory. I just started off that regulatory expectations are growing across the globe. In India, like trading, we are highly regulated by SEBI and the government agencies like NCIPC, CERTIN, all that. So they do prescribe us guidelines to comply with without any compromise, so that the data and the customer interests and the whole business of we being one of the critical infrastructure of the nation, we are bound to comply with such regulations and such guidelines. So that becomes one of the challenges vector along with technology stack. The third will be the user. I would highlight on the challenges coming from clients or the people who are doing the trading business and all. So as I just mentioned in the beginning, technology is evolving and people are getting a lot of new technologies to do the trading business through brokers and members. So in that process, even though at organization level, stock exchanges may have their own strong setup of cyber security and data security. But the point is the threats coming from the end users, client users. We are saying anybody can do trading through a mobile phone or their laptop or their desktop, whatever they have, whatever the channel, maybe from India, maybe from abroad, from wherever they are. Because that is the ease of business. This fintechs and all this technology has come to us, given to us. The biggest challenge is how do you control the security at client side, where we don't have any control, right? That is one of the key challenges in this domain I would highlight. So having said that, all these three channels, technology, regulatory, and client side, all these challenges can be managed through a well thought through management of cyber security and data security. Also, we have to consider about the another most important aspect of data privacy. So across the globe and even in India, DPDPS is enacted last year, and anytime we are going to come with the timelines of full compliance. So considering all these regulatory points, so cyber security mechanism and data security mechanism should be, more proactive, more real time. So we talked about AIML, right? The strength of AML is speed and accuracy, and the bottom at which it can touch upon to the level of granularity it can go into, where humans cannot go. The similar AI technology can be leveraged for security. That is the way forward. We can leverage AI ML for doing the business, for the ease of business. At the same time, we have to use the same technology to beat any security or privacy related issues of any business. So AML use cases, and again latest we are also hearing something called LLMs, generative AI, making the things much easier any non-tech guy also can quickly install that platform and start using it. So the way forward and the transaction security can be achieved, can be managed effectively through AML technology. And then in addition, we believe in something called defense in depth and layered security of typical cybersecurity management philosophy we should follow. And also, we have to look for some new age security approaches like zero trust architecture, which is very promising if implemented in a a methodological way effectively. Like zero trust may not be, it's not a one technology or a one solution. It is a way of, or it's a kind of mindset or a methodology. How do we adjust our existing technology and any new technology if required, so that the data, the identity, and the networks systems, they are all protected continuously on a zero trust basis. So with that, I think transactions, whatever may be the value, and the scalability, security, and privacy can be achieved. Right. Thank you.
I think thanks so much. A couple of things that I could really capture as you spoke about eliminating single point of failures, right? And that is exactly how you have to work on it. AI/ML, right? I definitely agree it's a double-edged sword. When I say double-edged sword, because we see the benefits, but then you brought a very pertinent point about data privacy, right? And what happens now? There are regulations. India passed a regulation on DPDP. We all know that the fines for them can be steep, right? The fines can be up to 250 CR for every breach. It is not a max cap, right? It can go beyond if it's data about child. So the fines are getting serious, and then the amount. It's the seriousness with what government is coming, and the thought process is changing, right? If we say data is a new oil, we have to be aware of the fact that this will be something that will be guarded very, very closely. And let's, when you talk about transaction, right, let's be honest about it, right? Today, when you talk about transaction, you will have transactions in legacy on your applications, something which is migrated, something which is not migrated, right? And then how do you ensure, that if tomorrow somebody says right to be forgotten or right to be, be deleted, do you even have the capacity to delete it, right? And those are the things, they will be a challenge. And I think I completely agree, Ramesh, with you is, CISO's role is not that easy as it looks to be, because it's not about, we all hear, right? Every person in the room who would have interacted with any of the vendors, the idea with the vendor is when the vendor comes and talks to you, they will make you believe that my product is the only product that you need in this world. After that, you're going to be secure, right? You only realize that all of that is true till the time the person walks out of the room and you realize that that is not enough. Somebody else walks, and this is a never-ending story, right? So the important thing for a CISO is then to balance, because you cannot have too many tools implemented. I think that's where I agree. It's more about leadership, making the right choices and striking the right balance. Just taking that forward, Yash, maybe I'll invite you, but again, the fact that, and I remember you said not a credit card company, the payment network, but MasterCard has a lot of reputation, right? Even today, when all of us think about it, we always would say that, it's a secure instrument, right? It's a secure process. It's a secure framework, right? So I'm sure you've done a lot of right things, right? So things that I would really be interested in, or maybe our audience would be interested, is the current trends. Because everybody is worried about the frauds. Because when you talk about credit cards, right? And let's be honest, when you talk about MasterCard or Visa card or credit card, the thing that strikes you as frauds. While a lot of it happens, now digitally, but the concern is there. So the current, the trends that you're saying, the current threats that you see are evolving, and which people should be worried about it, and they should plan to take actions against it, right? Also the tech adoption, especially in terms of, the transaction security, what is really happening. We do see that there is a lot being done by the regulators, a lot being done by the card, let's say, the card providers, right? Or when you service, or when you give the MasterCard, there are so many features you're embedding, be the chip security, so many things. So what do you feel is happening on that space? Most important is you have such an extensive merchant, network, right? How do you ensure, that TPRM is a very prevalent, it's an every boardroom is worried about, the third party vendor risk, right? What happens, it doesn't matter, because today you are only as secure as your perimeter. Even your perimeter is, and is very hazy, because you have work from home, you have so many, so you don't have a defined perimeter. But at the third party, how do you manage and mitigate those risks? I think, and other thing is about data localization, your take on that. And lastly, emerging technologies that you feel people would be interested. So maybe with this, I'll hand it over to you, and it would be interesting to hear from you.
Thanks,
and your views.
Kalpesh. That's a long list of questions, but let me try my best.
I told you I had the easy job asking questions.
So thanks a lot, but let's break this down. First thing, like whenever you want to secure something, first let's break it down. Again, like if you look at it, fraud that happened last year versus fraud that happened this year, or fraud that might happen next year, it's always going to grow. I mean, let's accept that fact. I mean, there is not going to be okay, this year fraud is less fraud is happening, I'm happy-go-lucky. That's not happening. Let's get out of that mirage. Like frauds would continue, as the payment ecosystem expands, frauds also expand, and that's going to go in. So first of all, we need to understand how to secure something. And there are two, if I have to talk about securing a system, securing a plane, securing this room, you can broadly break it down into two different buckets. One is sanitization, and the other one is immunization. So sanitization is basically everything that comes into the ecosystem is cleaned up, made sure it's up to a certain standard, it's secure, and then bought in. That's sanitization. I mean, you typically see that in an airline security. Before they let you up on the plane, you would typically be going through metal detectors, your luggage would be checked, and so on and so forth, like 120 things that are done before they let you on the board. And second thing is building in immunity. I mean, there might be a rogue character in the system, but I have enough immunity to neutralize that on the spot. I have enough muscle power to take care of that rogue actor, lone wolf, or whatever you like to call it, and to contain that incident to that particular thing. While sanitization is great, but it does have a lot of limitations. As we saw it during the pandemic, we started with sanitization, we started with wearing masks, we started with like washing hands, lockdowns, and 120 things. But in the long term, this was not sustainable. So eventually, what we did is, from a sanitization perspective, we moved to probably a state where we build immunity within the community. I mean, COVID is still around there. Like, again, COVID is not extinct or like completely eradicated, but it doesn't affect us the way it used to affect us 3 years back. So that's exactly the ecosystem that we need to build in. So basically, I mean, and one more thing about COVID I would like to talk about is, we are not secure till everyone is secure. So you have to build immunity across the ecosystem. Again, when we take this to IT, the ecosystem is not just my enterprise. It could be my vendors, it could be my suppliers, it could be people that I deal with, or people that interact with me or have access to my applications. So let's come to the fraud. I mean, frauds are bound to happen, but again, if you just take an example of cybersecurity, like a payment fraud or credit card fraud or something like that, it's very unlikely that people like you and me or the people sitting in this room are going to be hit first thing. Because the why I'm saying that, I'm not saying we won't be hit, but the probability is a lot less. Again, a criminal or a hunter is going to be going behind the weakest in the herd. And these weakest people in the ecosystem are not you and me. These are elderly people. These are vendors who transact on the street, vendors who do not know anything about cybersecurity. These are your cab drivers. These are your people that you meet in everyday walk of life. So the thing is, till the time these people are secure, they believe in the system, they understand how the system works, we won't be secure, because these are the people that you need to build immunity with. Again, we've come a long way from this. Again, for example, today we do see a lot of marketing advertisements around user education, that if you make sure you look at the link before you click. There are hundreds of billboards that you see around educating people about cybersecurity. So this is the way. I mean, if you go long term forward, like again, by 2027 or emerging, we have to move focus. Again, we have to use a combination of both. So it can't be complete sanitization, it can't be complete immunization. It is a balance of both. So probably like 10-15% is going to be sanitization, and the remaining has to be immunity. So that's what I see from the trends point of view. And again, like emerging technologies, again, there are lot in there, like again, AI, ML. But again, keep in mind, AI, ML is not limited to you. Even the bad guys have access to AI, ML. It's your AI versus their AI, or their ML versus my ML. So again, like it's an infinite game that we are locked up against the attackers with. The thing is that, like as as Kalpesh mentioned, that a vendor comes to your, like again, I have been working at the vendor end for a very, very long time. In fact, that's where I've completely built my career. So again, like as much as I would love to say that, put in this product, configure this firewall, put in this DLP, and you're done. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. It's always like once you do that, the attackers would find something else, then you update your technology. It's an endless game that would continue. I mean, the only thing that would change is the actors in the game. Like after you, a new CISO would come and he would fight the new set of attackers. So the game will continue as long as there is payments, as long as there is fraud, as long as there are the people transacting. So the idea here is how do you build immunity in the system? So that's where I would like to probably open it up to my fellow participants. Like, what do you think? Like, what should we be doing about building immunity?
You want to go? Okay. So, building immunity, right? And I want to kind of go back to my childhood, which was really, really old, where we actually had to take a tetanus shot at least once every year, right? We were playing free. Everyone would get injured more often than not. And as a standard practice, the parents would insist that at least once in a year you get a tetanus shot so you're immune to scratches and hurts and everything. Now, why I'm saying this is if I bring it to the context that you are speaking about, it is important that we maintain super clean, fundamental hygiene to get basic immunity into the system. There is never going to be, and you very rightly said that it's an infinite game, there's never going to be absolute security because I think everyone in this audience understands that absolute security can only happen when you lock up the enterprise and throw away the key. When there's nothing to go wrong or when there's nothing to steal is when somebody will not attempt to steal. So permanent immunity, I don't think is going to ever come in. Fundamental hygiene providing basic immunity is absolutely doable and must be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And the immunity should be at the scale, at the community level. Like, for example, you could be doing everything right, but the cab that you go in, like, has been like the driver's not wearing the mask, or like, I'm sorry, I'm not judging people here, but again, you have to make sure that this immunity or the net of immunity is passed on to every strata of the society. I mean, you can't be immune in your own ivory tower and be happy there because you don't live in an ivory tower. I mean, with the digitization, like, everyone has access to technology, and that's a great thing. I mean, so we have to ensure that everybody is included in your, like, immunity journey, like your consumers, like, go to the last man in the line. That's my take on it.
So I think I can just continue with the same anecdote, right? So Nasir spoke about hygiene. I can just say healthy lifestyle. When I say that, right, you want to be sure that security is not an afterthought. It has to be an integral part of your entire journey, which means security by design, right? And you have to make sure that right from a time, the idea that you're going to come out with a new product, a new service, a new offering, right from the time that idea is conceived, security is an integral part. It's more about embedding that as a part of the culture. I think that will bring immunity because a lot of times you're not unprepared, right? So I think healthy, right? When I say healthy, it is basically getting the CISOs. I'll just give one small, anecdote to this. Everybody drives a car, right? or everybody at least sits in a car. What is the function of a brake? Anybody? We'll just see if our audience is also awake. Sorry? Absolutely, right? The brake is not to slow you down. The brake is there to let you go fast, right? Because even if you hit at 3-digit speed, the brake is going to help you control the car, and it will help you to stop the way you want it to stop, right? I think this is exactly how security should be viewed. Unfortunately, I'm sure everybody who is a practitioner of security in this room will agree that that's not how we are viewed in the industry, in our own organizations. Everybody is struggling on that. But it's our role, and I just feel, Yash, we have a tough role, because we have to enable the business, and we are doing that day in, day out. But we need to make them understand that we are here to help them, we are here to enable them, we are here to make a difference to their life, right? And I think that is what
Absolutely, Kalpesh.
is immunity about.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to immunity, the other thing I would like to make a point here is, if you're fighting fraud, you can't fight it on your own. So, fraud. Okay, let me rewind it a little back. I'm sure many of you here have read the book called Art of War. So again, you never fight a war. Like, if you fight war on your own territory, you are losing even if you win the war. So take the war into the enemy territory. So the idea here is control the fraud, or control attacker even before it reaches your own network, or even before it reaches your own system. So, I mean, one of the example, or I typically don't like to quote technology in a forum like this, but would be like CDN. Like, again, you stop the attacker even before, you DDoS attacks. If you're fighting them on your own appliances, on your edge devices, you've already lost it. You should be fighting you should be fighting DDoS attacks typically outside your networks. So they should be contained, they should be managed even before they touch your network. So one of the good idea here is that, you fight the war on in the enemy territory. So, I mean, I guess these are the few things. Probably you want to have some questions.
I thought there's a question for us, but then I realized there's a crosstalk. Sure. So you're done with the question, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks. Thanks, Yash. In that case, and thanks for keeping it interactive. So he made sure that we're not sleeping. He asked us a question back. I think, again, very happy to now bring on Nasser. Again, he leads, the risk and the InfoSec for Lloyd's Technology. We know Lloyd's is, a large, one of the largest financial institution in UK, $65.15 billion, if I'm not wrong, the revenues. I think Nasser, because you manage technology for Lloyd's, right? One of the large financial institutions. I think from your perspective, right, what will be interesting is, what do you see are the trends when it comes to, the leading trends in terms of transaction security, or what are the asks? Because you bring on a flavor of European banking, right? What the regulators over there are really keen on, what is their evolution in terms of security? What is their focus on security? So maybe you can talk a bit about that. Again, you deal, where localization is something that will be on top of your radar, right? Because there are so many multi-geography, that you operate on. How do you take care of localization as a requirement? Privacy, definitely, you have a stronger practice because of the GDPR. So maybe some insights as to how have you been tackling it. I think that will give some good insights to a lot of us who are new to the DPTP world, and just help them to realize it's not really that that bigger evil. It is easy to be tackled. And I'm sure we can gain and we can learn a lot from a GDPR implementation and see what are the commonalities, because end of the day the intent is to protect the data of your citizens. So maybe something that you can shed your light on that. We all talk about cloud security, right? And we all say that today maybe 80% of organizations do have presence on cloud in some way or the other, right? It could be your O365, it could be it could be a SaaS provider, it could be so many things. So from that perspective, as to what are your recommendations on cloud security? Do you think it is same as securing your on-prem, or there are difficulties and there are challenges, especially when you are on multi-cloud, right? And the last thing is, again, you are a provider of a service to to your parent company. I'm sure even more than that. So from as a vendor or as a service provider, how do you ensure that the security is taken care, because end of the day, even if you are compromised, right, the repercussions are there for your parent or your customers. So from that perspective, what are some of the practices that you follow that gives confidence back to your clients, from a perspective that, things are followed, and if incident happens, how do you ensure that, your, let's say your stakeholders gets updated, and they are able to comply with their regulatory requirements. So these are some of the questions, and anything that you feel from a technology that is emerging very close to your heart and you want to share with the group, where you feel, some next big magic is going to happen. Over to you.
Thank you, Kalpesh. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start from the bottom and try to go up. As you can make out, I'm rather old, so I'll forget a lot of things on the way. Kalpesh, first, the Lloyd's Technology Center is not a service provider to Lloyd's Bank. The Lloyd's Technology Center is an integral part of the Lloyd's Bank. So we don't supply services. We are a part of the larger bank, the larger technology team, and we are helping build the new digital bank which Lloyd's is building in the UK. It's got a 350-year-old history, but I'm not here to talk about Lloyd's Bank. Couple of things. As a tech organization, one of the things that I have always found as a tech security organizations, one of the things I've always found which have helped immensely towards success is not being a policeman. Typically, security practitioners across the globe tend to be more policemen. I don't think that is going to work in any forum or in any way. The lacuna that exists in a lot of security teams that I have experienced is we are great, absolutely cutting-edge security guys. But we can't save our lives when we are asked a question about why the hell are we doing this security. We have no clue about what the business does, how the business makes money. And I think that is a pivotal area where I found extremely successful security teams. The security team that knows how the business is making money, knows what to secure and why to secure it. And if it does not know that, then we are just like, what? I think, with due respect, we are like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, shooting off large machine guns, scatter bombing the whole thing, trying that we'll kill everyone. But in effect, what do we really get is the fact that we have just made it extremely difficult for the business to do something which would have been simpler to do. And that is where the cost of security comes in. I really wonder how many of the security practitioners understand what is security costing to their customer. I'm sure if I ask my friend Yash here, he will know exactly what is the cost of acquisition to the customer for a credit card. But if I ask a security practitioner, how much does IAM cost every single customer of the bank? Do we have an answer? And really, my supplication is, if we don't have an answer, then how are we determining what is fit for purpose? Would I throw SailPoint, the entire shebang, and I'm sorry, I don't mean anything adverse to SailPoint, I'm taking that name as an example, but would I throw a brilliant, cutting-edge technology solution to a financial institution that has probably 10,000 users? Might not be fit for purpose. So what is fit for purpose? That is the first thing. The way I believe we should be doing things is we have to be enablers. We cannot be guides, we actually have to be enablers, and we have to enable our institutions to go faster safely. Is there any institution here, anyone from any company, where you haven't heard your CEO or the management say, oh, we need to do this faster, we need to do this faster, we need speed, time to market? Anyone? Where the management has told, let's slow down, let's do it next year, इस साल chill करते हैं. Anyone? Our job, I think, is to enable them to go faster, safely. And that key differentiation is not in just the amount of tools that we throw at the problem. It is not in the amount of checkboxes that we expect the business to click. It is not in the amount of certifications that we want the business to get. It really lies in understanding why are we protecting what we want to protect. So that's one point. The Kalpesh mentioned about security vendors, and the brilliant products out there, absolutely brilliant. But are they fit for your purpose? And that is the question that you need to be asking. Do we need, or do we want to deploy, or do we want to spend money on great products, or do we want to spend money on what we need? That want versus need, which is an old question in the Indian philosophy, as all of you know, I think actually manifests itself into this business requirement. Innovation in security. I think, in my view, a lot of automation, and I will use the words AI and ML interchangeably, because really, practically, I'm sure all of us agree that they are AI and ML being used interchangeably, right? Behind or under every ML AI veneer, it is probably different shades of ML models that are running. So, automation. Tremendous amount of work, large data, large volumes, transactions are skyrocketing, and they don't show any signs of slowing down in the numbers. So the volumes will keep increasing. The attacks, types, and volumes will keep increasing. You need machines to sift through that data, but I will very strongly urge, have the machines sift through the data, but please have a human mind take the decision. I think that distinction is really key. The other pieces that we can talk about, how do we confidently share confidentiality? More and more interactiveness between financial institutions and between financial institutions and the customers and between these three and the regulators is going to increase. Now, how do you confidently share confidentiality? There are a lot of innovative work which is going on managing those dark databases, or if you can think about it, isolating the entire bank universe into a bank-in-a-box kind of a solution where we can use that. Now, the moment I speak about the bank-in-the-box, the thing that I gravitate towards is the cloud. And how is security in a cloud is the next natural thinking that I have. Great, wonderful buzzwords, but for people of my age, we realize that cloud is your data sitting in somebody else's data center. Fundamentally, that is where it is. We need fundamental solutions to fundamental concepts. If we could secure it in our data center, how is it that much different from securing it in somebody else's data center? Now, the challenge is, we assume that the cloud does a lot of things for us. And it does. I'm not denying that at all. It does. But again, I come back to, is it the solution for every single problem? Oh, we have to move to the cloud. The enterprise is moving to the cloud. We don't want to get left behind. But why are we doing it? Is it just because it's cheap? Because can I see a show of hands who really believe that in the larger terms of things, cloud is cheap? Cloud is not cheap. It is useful. It has its utilities. But how do we use those utilities? Is cloud infallible? We go there for backup. Inbuilt resiliency. When was this? I think a couple of weeks back. UniSuper got deleted from one of the cloud providers. The UniSuper, for the folks who don't know, is imagine if EPFO got deleted, what happens to you? Provident Fund Organization just gets deleted, the main and the backup. Right? That's the problem that we are talking about. At the base, Kalpesh and everyone, I would like to say that the problems are not new. There are new vectors that keep coming up, which need new and innovative solutions to try and stay ahead of the infinite game, as you mentioned, Yash. But fundamentally, my belief has always been, it is easy to fix the machine. The challenge is trying to fix the monkey behind the machine. How do we address the monkey behind the machine is something that we should think of. Now, when we are setting up programs, typically what causes us to fail, and I have seen security programs very typically fail because of the lack of just one thing, and that is transparency. Transparency from the business side to understand the need, and transparency from the security practitioner side on their ability to actually say what can be done and what cannot be done. Yes, we will do this. This will be done. Not helping everyone, anyone, and that is where everything starts going downhill. I can keep talking about it for much more time, but I'm really looking at that clock and the stares I'm getting from Kalpesh. So happy to take any questions, but Kalpesh, back to you.
Thank you so much. I think thank you so much, Nasir. It's really been great. Any questions for any of the speakers? Yeah, I think there is. If you have a mic, it's over there. You can just raise your hand one more time. Yeah. And if you have that question that you want any specific speaker to answer, please call out. So I have a choice, so I'm not going to take it myself. I'm going to pass it on. Maybe you can introduce yourself as well.
My name is Prav, actually, Prav Nair. So this is a question for everyone. As you know, there's a 106 conference happened last year. And in that conference, RBI Deputy Directors, Mr. Rao, has concern about the AI governance. Now we can see the topic right now is emerging technologies and transaction. And one of the most important part is AI. And so how do you see the AI governance from a CISO viewpoint? Because on one side of AI governance, we're talking about fairness, transparency, and integrity. And from the privacy perspective, it's completely against. So how do you see CISO, handle this particular conflict and how they balance security versus functionality?
Okay.
So I have a view on that one. I don't think there is a requirement for a balance. And I think the AI governance and privacy are rather well supported together. Now, just because it is AI, it doesn't mean that privacy is compromised. If the AI model is implemented with thought, it doesn't need to actually countermand the privacy action. As far as the framework is concerned, I think globally, there is a requirement to set up a consensus on how do we govern AI. And different countries have very recently come up with regulations on AI. And I think those frameworks are going to become very, very useful. I know Europe has just released a framework on AI governance. Australia has released a draft paper on AI governance. CISA in the US has released a working paper on how to manage AI. So I suppose we'll see over a period of time all these three things coming together. I'm not sure it'll have a challenge to the reporting structure of a CISO, because the reporting structure of the CISO is really a business decision. It's not a technology decision that kind of decides. Now, where the CISO should report, I think this debate started about 15 years back, and I'm sure it will continue 15 years after I retire, right? Where it is going to go, nobody knows as of now. I think every single CXO is equally divided on where the CISO should report.
Yep. I think just to add to this, right? You're talking about adversarial attacks, right? Now it's a gray, right? Because when you see, we're talking about AI, right? A generative AI. There are stages to it, right? And you have something like AGI, where your AI will actually have qualities that humans have it, right? And then there's SGI, which is like super generative, which is it will overtake the human intelligence. Now, when those things happen, right, there is a risk, right? There is a fight. Now, it is always a gray area. So that is where, it will not be only the CISOs who will be empowered or, who will be interested on the role. Governments will have to get in. Governments are not sleeping on it, right? They understand a weaponized AI. What you talk about deepfakes is nothing but weaponized, right? And used for, wrong reasons. So those awarenesses are there, right? It's slow, but it's getting there, right? I think there's a need, and every government and every organization is thinking, how much should we leverage on AI, and how do we ensure, that the AI, the exploits. When I say AI exploit, is every technology should be exploited. I think that's the essence, why you bring something into, the life, right? But how much should it be exploited? Are we ready for it? It is not a call of a CISO, it's a collective call of a government, it's a collective call of the organizations, all of us coming together. CISO would end of the day be responsible for protecting the boundaries, right? And when it comes inside their boundary, what all can they do? But I think it's a collective thing. And as an industry, I agree, we aren't there, but at least people have started thinking, governments have started thinking. I'm privy to a lot of discussion that happens within our local governments, and within our country. They're purely aware of the risk, and they know that, AI which goes out of control can have a lot of repercussions and catastrophic ones. So that's something that they are working on it. But beyond, I would say beyond the pay grade of a CISO, honestly, I wish I was a Superman. We would have worn the underwear the other way, but not the case. But yeah, there was one hand that went up over here.
This is just a question to the entire panel as well. A couple of interesting developments where we have seen is a lot of voice cloning sites. People think it's fun. They go on, they can actually try speaking in multiple languages. You're actually providing your own data to be trained. And then they start complaining when their cloned, let's say, voice is actually being used for a phishing attack or a vishing attack or any other type of attacks, right? So typically in terms of banks have been using, let's say, voice-based authentication. In certain cases, some of the banks have seen. You've also seen cases where, let's say, senior leaders of your organization are talking about a penny stock. It happened in India as well. So what we have seen is a combination of, let's say, AI, blockchain, digital certificates in terms of how you're actually able to ensure the accuracy of, let's say, the information which is coming in. For that matter, even it's a combination. It's not just about AI or about blockchain. It's a combination of tech. So in this current development, how do you see banks responding? Some of your banks are like organizations are way ahead of the curve. Some of the younger organizations are still learning to deal with AI. So what would be your advice to, let's say, some of the other financial institutions which are trying to play catch up? Or what are you doing, if you are allowed to share?
I think, Nasser, this is for you, right across. Want to take it, Nasser?
Yeah, sure. So, not just voice. I think the entire persona spectrum is today getting copied, used. I mean, deepfakes are being used. We are seeing people really falling victim to deepfake. Specifically from a voice perspective, I think large financial institutions have rather robust technologies or solutions in place where voice validation, isolation, and authentication is executed almost real time. And this is with banks that have hundreds of millions of customers. So that is possible. As far as training external models is concerned for your voice to be used against you, there really is no quick fix for that. And that's an honest answer, because if serious cutting edge technology companies, and we know that has happened, can be defrauded for millions of dollars by a deepfake video of their CFO, right? Then it's very difficult to say what can and what cannot happen. There's no guarantee that it will not happen. There are only so many safeguards that can be put in place. Now, voice authentication is brilliant. It is convenient, but like any other convenience, it should ideally be backed not by just what you are, but also by what you know. So at least another factor should kick in.
So,
Thank you. I'm sure there are more questions, but we just run out of the time. And I'm saying, Sai, who's really, they started opening this soon. It's also a sign that boss is done about it. But Sai, back to you.
Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable insights, sir. So before the panelists leave the stage, I would request you to collect your goodies once and then pose for a photograph. We thank you, for the patience that the participants have shown today as well, for just sitting through the whole panel. So you have some snacks out there. You guys can quickly grab a snack and just come back for the next session that will be happening.